Hello and welcome to Loftside Bantr. On today's episode, we do our weekly Massachusetts Pirates interview. This week we have Marcis Floyd, who is one of the newer members, but definitely a leader on that very stout defense that the Massachusetts Pirates have. And they are coming off another win, so it will be a great conversation to have with him. We're going to take a look at the NBA Finals. We're going to take a look at the Stanley Cup Finals as well. Get a nice little update on both. We'll talk about the Red Sox calling up Roman Anthony finally, after we called him out on the show, so they must have listened, of course. We'll talk a little golf and the U.S. Open, which started today as of this recording. We'll look at the leaderboard, and we'll take a look at the course Oakmont that has been getting a lot of attention for being extremely difficult, which means I can never play there, ever, in the history of its existence, because I would never complete the course. So that should tell you everything you need to know about my golf game. But we'll get right into the countdown, and we'll get everything moving. So see you on the other side.
We are on in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back into Loftside Bantr. As we mentioned in the opening, NBA, NHL Finals, we'll go over that. Massachusetts Pirates interview day, so we'll have that a little bit later in the show. And then, of course, the Red Sox called up number one prospect in all of baseball, Roman Anthony, after I asked in my previous episode why they couldn't possibly bring him up. So in my mind, that equals that they listened to my show and they realized how right I was, and then they've went out and they called him up. Now, it came after an injury to Wilmer Abreu, who was one of your best hitters going forward in this season, but I digress. They got Roman Anthony up here. Roman Anthony has come up and played in all three games that he's been on the roster for. Not the same number. He took number 48 when he got here, and now he's number 19. So in case anybody is wondering why he's changed so much, that's the number he wore in AAA. He has one hit and one walk in 12 at bats, so cold start, batting a solid .083. Now again, 3 games in, not going to hold that against him. He had a big 2-run double the other night. He got an RBI in his first game, so 3 RBIs early on for this kid. And he was thrown right in there, batting 5th, I believe, in all 3 games. I'd have to double-check the lineup cards, but I know that game 1 he was batting 5th. So no chance to prepare, no chance to come up. He was expected to step in to the lineup and just get going. Now, he's not the greatest against lefties, which the upcoming series against the Yankees, which you just took 2 out of 3 from them, you just took 2 out of 3 from the Tampa Bay Rays. So things are looking upwards for now. But again, this team has been very inconsistent going through this early part of the season. I say early part, it's 70 games. We've had 70 games of this Red Sox team. I think we've kind of reached a point where we know what they are, and that's very average. Now, the first game on Friday will be Crochet will be pitching, so it'll be the second straight start. This time he'll be at Fenway. And there's rumors going out that with the Yankees pitching possibly 3 left-handers in this series, that Roman Anthony's coming off the bench for all 3 games. Now, whether that means anything or whether that's going to stunt any sort of growth as far as his time in the major leagues, we're not sure. But as of right now, that was the rumor that came out of the Boston Red Sox camp, is that he will not start those games against left-handed pitchers. So we'll have to wait and see. It just seems like an interesting way to handle the number one prospect coming up. And we already had Christian Campbell up here, who's now come back to earth. Marcelo Meyer, who hit 2 home runs last night. So maybe turning a corner with his hitting for now. He's done really well as far as fielding and everything else. So now you have 3 of the big-time prospects up here. Do they gel together? Are we going to see some of them dropped? Are we going to see people getting days off? Or is somebody going to go back down? Who knows? I mean, there's a whole lot of injuries that have happened for this Red Sox team early on, but we're 70 games in. And if this is where we're going to be at 500, I say you just give them a run out. You give them the run out, you give them the opportunity to play, and go from there. I mean, these are essentially your top 3 prospects. Christian Campbell is not on the list anymore for the Red Sox because he started the year at the major league level. So Roman Anthony was number 1, Marcelo Meyer number 2, both in the MLB, as mentioned. The next best player is their 13th prospect, which is Hunter Dobbins, who's going through a nightmare right now with publicity, talking about how his father was drafted by the Yankees twice, then traded to the D-backs, and he would never sign for the Yankees and retire, only to come to find out, at least from the information pulled from the New York Post and everywhere else, that Lance Dobbins was never a Yankee. And I haven't done my own research on this, but if this is something that Hunter Dobbins' dad has basically told him growing up, and this is what he's believed, and whether it's a lie or not, again, who knows? The kid has been a hell of a pitcher so far for the Red Sox. Bounced into the bullpen for no reason, then back into the starting rotation, and then everything else. He's 3-1 with a 4.2. He's pitched 10 games, 8 of them starts, and he got a win against the Yankees the other day. So, I mean, he's looked pretty good. This whole outside stuff with his dad and everything else, that's going to be a whole other media thing. I'm not going to waste time on it. It's just kind of a funny story. And it leads us into one of the biggest lies in sports history. And we'll probably make an episode of that. So not super concerned with that right now. So you have some young players up here that are successful. You've had a rookie catcher that has come in and played absolutely magnificent for the first half of the year, at least. Of course, talking about Carlos Nevarez, who's actually been batting cleanup quite a bit this season. 6 home runs, 22 RBIs, 279 batting average. So, again, for somebody that you brought in as kind of like, hey, we're going to put him as the backup, Connor Wong's our guy, now has pretty much taken over the starting catching role and has caught pitchers fairly well as well. But, Andrew, what's your point with all these statistics and prospect numbers and everything else like that? What's the point? The point is you have young talent up here. Now you got to give them a run out and just see what happens. I don't think the season's really going anywhere. And I said at the beginning of the year that they were probably a year away. That they went out and got some good players. They've signed some players. They've spent a little bit of money. You got a front-end starter that can shut down an offense on his best days. And on his worst days, you know, he's giving up 3 runs. And that's still pretty good this day and age. For right now, the Red Sox need to just keep the players where they are, and let's see what happens. If you really think that you're going to make the playoffs and you got to make some adjustments, fine. But I don't think you're making the playoffs. We have seen in the major leagues that mentally, if a player is not ready or mentally a player can't handle a big market or whatever the case may be, we've seen it destroy them. We've absolutely seen it. So the problem is right now is I think these kids can handle it. And I think they're going to be just fine. I think you're starting to build something that you wanted to build a few years ago with Jarren Duran coming up and Tristan Cassius and stuff like that, and haven't panned out all that much. So as of right now, we would really like to see these kids play and get that run out, as I've mentioned a couple of times already. So let's just hold on before we start sitting them down for multiple games. They got to be everyday players. At some point in time, you got to have everyday players. And, you know, if you got to sacrifice one of the veterans of playing time and stuff like that, I think you do it. I think you do it at this point. That's where you're at. Please, let's not overthink this and make moves to send people back down. And let's just see what they got. Let's just see. And it's going to be tough for Red Sox fans because everybody wants to win now. And that's great. We've gone a couple of years without having the most competitive team. Let's just go one more, and let's see what the kids got. Who knows what will happen? As I mentioned, Marcelo Meyer hit 2 home runs last night. So, I mean, maybe he's turned a corner. Maybe it's going to take some time for the other 2 or 3 to kind of put consistency together. But I mean, we're at a spot where you're 500 again. So, you don't become 500, you fall a few games below 500. Who cares? We're already not meeting expectations as it is. So, whatever. We're going to take a shift over to the NBA Finals as the Indiana Pacers are up 2-1 with their victory last night, 116-107 over the Oklahoma City Thunder. And again, I came out at the beginning of this and I said that the Thunder were a dangerous team and they were all this stuff. And the Pacers just seem to stop them at everywhere. It seems like they're outrunning them. It seems like the Thunder are out of breath at some points in time. Because you had guys like T.J. McConnell running through and making all these different plays. Benedict Mathurin simply took over the game for a little while with 27 points. The thoughts that the Pacers were just going to roll over and just the Thunder were going to have their way with them this entire series is completely out the window. Now, they split 1-1 in Oklahoma City. The Pacers just took the first game at home. So, again, the home court advantage thing might have worked for game one. Let's see what happens. I think if the Pacers go up 3-1, they're going to win the series. I think if it goes 2-2, I think the Thunder are going to take it. So, realistically, it's a must-win for the Thunder. I don't think they're out of it by any means. But the end of games and everything else like that, the Pacers have looked like the better team in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Halliburton last night, 22 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds, 1 rebound away from a triple-double. Pascal Siakam, 21 points. Rick Carlisle came out and said, this is the kind of team that we are. Everybody has to contribute. And it seems as if they know that. The Pacers are 5-0 in these playoffs after a loss. So after they lose, they don't panic. They haven't lost back-to-back games since March of this year. Mathurin was the catalyst on Wednesday. He became the 6th player since the NBA-ABA merger in 1976 and 77 to score 25 or more points in the finals at age 22 or younger. The other people on that list, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Tony Parker, Kobe Bryant, and Magic Johnson. His name doesn't quite fit with the rest of them right now. Again, early on in his career, he was the 6th overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft. He averaged 16 points a game this year, about 5 rebounds. So again, he's a talented young kid. And realistically, if he's going to continue to play like this, I mean, we're going to be talking about him more and more during a regular season next year, more and more during the playoffs, everything else like that. I mean, he played excellent last night. It seems as if they have this depth that was a concern going forward, that we were only going to see Halliburton and Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam be the guys. But now you have the guys coming off the bench that are doing really well. T.J. McConnell, 10 points, 5 assists, and then just everywhere. His defense was excellent. He was making plays where he would steal the ball, he would get an assist, steal the ball on the inbound, knock it off one of the Thunder guys for the turnover, and, the Pacers have the ball again. So, I mean, it's those things that we're seeing from the Pacers that seem to be giving the Thunder quite a bit of fit. Gilgeous-Alexander for the Thunder basically said you got to suck it up. There are 4 games left. They seemed to be a little out of it last night, a little tired. The Pacers sped up the game, keeping the Thunder on their toes to not have the expectations that, hey, they're going to do the same thing every night. They're not. So there's 4 games left of the season. It's what you've worked on the whole season for. It's what you've worked all summer for. To me, the way I see it, you got to suck it up, get it done, and try to get a win. That's what SGA said last night after the game. SGA was held to only 3 points on 1 and 3 shooting with 0 assists. 0. As the Pacers rallied in the fourth quarter to take that 2-1 advantage so far in the series. Some advanced analytics for you to kind of show you some differences that the Pacers have been throwing at SGA. According to the Genius I2 tracking, a defender picked up SGA an average of 65.5 feet from the basket when he was bringing up the ball, which is the furthest in any game he's faced this year. So they're just pressuring him as far away from the basket as possible and making other players beat them. And the other problem for the Thunder, their bench. The bench did absolutely nothing. You're looking at 18 points off the bench for any of the players that played. Alex Caruso played 32 points, had 8, which was the most. Isaiah Hartenstein played 18 minutes, only had 4 points. And then Isaiah Joe only had 4 points, but he had 6. He had 2 3-pointers. Again, that's it. That's all that scored. Jalen Williams played. Kenrick Williams played. Granted, only 2 minutes. Aaron Wiggins, 10 minutes. Nothing. So if their bench is not going to produce anything, and even with Alex Caruso scoring 8 points in 32 minutes, he was a negative 15. So he wasn't doing anything defensively either. So herein lies the problem for the Thunder. And again, I don't think they're in trouble quite yet, but only 18 points in the fourth quarter, while the Pacers scored 32. I mean, this is what the Pacers have done all playoffs. They've kept it close, and then eventually, they take over. So they're just keeping themselves in it for that long. Now, they were up for a lot of the game. They were up for different parts of the game. The Thunder made some comebacks and everything else like that. But the Pacers look like they could be NBA champions. And that's coming off of, again, 21 points for Pascal Siakam. Aaron Naismith played 22 minutes, only scored 7 points. Miles Turner put in 30 minutes, 9 points. Aaron Nembhard, 8 points in 33 minutes, mainly there for defense on SGA. Tyrese Halliburton, 36 minutes. And then Obi Toppin, 8 points. TJ McConnell had the 10 that I mentioned earlier. Benedict Mathurin, 27. Ben Shepherd, 4 points. So again, the bench is completely outplaying the Thunder's bench. This looks like Rick Carlisle is out-coaching Oklahoma City's Mark Daigneault. It just seems like it. Making SGA work harder on both the offensive and defensive end. Utilizing his bench when the Thunder's bench isn't playing very well. Still a lot of basketball left. But that's just what it seems like. It seems like that finally coaching is showing to be a factor in something. Whereas the NBA, I thought maybe coaching didn't really seem to matter as much anymore. I guess I'm wrong with that as well. It won't be the first time. Definitely not the last. Rick Carlisle seems like he's doing quite a bit more to help the team than Mark Daigneault is. I know somebody's going to say something. It's either Daigneault or Daigneault. I can't tell which one it is, so I'm going with my best guess. I apologize if I got it wrong. Moving on. Keeping it to the NBA and looking at the New York Knicks, who beat the Celtics, celebrated their ass off, and then all of a sudden they don't have a head coach. Fired Tom Thibodeau, as mentioned before. They have just been denied to talk to Ime Udoka of the Houston Rockets, Chris Finch of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Jason Kidd of the Dallas Mavericks. So now we're on to plan D, plan 4, candidate 4, whatever you want. It'll be interesting to see where they go. I heard rumors today, talking with some people, that Mark Jackson should be considered. Now, Mark Jackson helped kind of build the stage for the Golden State Warriors before Steve Kerr got there. He is a New York legend, born in New York, played at St. John's, was Rookie of the Year for the New York Knicks, so I think it makes logical sense that he would want to come in here and coach the New York Knicks. Do you consider that an upgrade? Is that an upgrade for your team, or is this something that maybe we probably shouldn't have fired Tom Thibodeau when we did? Now, we're hearing some things that are coming out now about Tom Thibodeau and that James Dolan didn't like his, exit interview or whatever it was. And whenever James Dolan's been involved with the New York Knicks operation, they've sucked. So if you're a New York Knicks fan and you're hearing that your owner, James Dolan, is involving himself a little bit more, you're in trouble. That's going to be a problem. Because James Dolan was, I believe, he owns the Sphere in Las Vegas. So he took a few years off of running the basketball operation to handle that. And now all of a sudden he can pay attention again, which is not good for you. Sorry, New York fans. It's not going to look good if James Dolan's involved with your operation again. And he has a ton of money and really doesn't need to listen to anything I say, but it is not good. NHL Stanley Cup The Florida Panthers dominated Game 3 to take a 2-1 series lead. It's typically what we've seen from the Florida Panthers when we start to get longer into a series. They start dominating games and stuff like that. Again, the series is not over, not by any means, but we're going to go and have a special with some guests after this show for a breakdown of the Bruins signing Marco Storm as their head coach, and then what the finals has kind of brought into the Stanley Cup finals has kind of brought. So I'll keep this one short and sweet. I mean, it was 6-1 the other day, and then the penalty minutes from the Edmonton Oilers are what absolutely killed them. And then not only that, they tried to fight the Panthers and try to get some momentum back, and that didn't work either. So it was an all-around disastrous game for the Edmonton Oilers. And so whereas the Panthers are much more consistent, as we've seen in the series in the first 3 games, the Edmonton Oilers have the ability to be the best team and then drop down to a bottom half of the league type team. So they have a wider range of consistencies or lack of consistencies, and that's what's been the problem so far. So with that said, we're going to go into our read for the Massachusetts Pirates, and then when we come back from that, we'll be joined by Marcis Floyd. This episode is brought to you by the Massachusetts Pirates of the Indoor Football League. Looking for a family-friendly night out that's anything but boring? Experience the high-octane action of indoor football, where every seat makes you part of the game. With tickets starting as low as $18, even front row seats are affordable. Be a part of the excitement. If a game ball lands your way, you get to keep it. How cool is that? And then after the final whistle, stick around for an autograph session with the players for just $15. Don't miss out. This is football like you've never experienced before. Come see the game in the Songus Arena in Lowell, Massachusetts. And for ticket information, go to www.masspiratesfootball.com. Again, that's masspiratesfootball.com. Welcome back to Loftside Bantr. And for today's guest, with our weekly conversation with the Massachusetts Pirates, we have defensive back Marcis Floyd, who is a relatively new player for the Massachusetts Pirates, but he's part of and been an excellent addition to this very stout Massachusetts Pirates defense that in indoor football, holding a team below 30 points in a game is really good. It's just such a fast pace, shorter field. There's not a lot of more mistakes that you can make without letting teams score. You're pretty much in field goal range a lot of the time as it is anyway. So to have him come in, and he's been playing excellent on this defense. So I really like to welcome in a 4-year Murray State racer and then transferred to the University of West Virginia. So a Mountaineer by the end of his college career. Marcis, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. And again, thank you very much for your time today. We're going to start kind of at the beginning and talk about your journey to where it kind of began. So what first drew you to playing football?
Well, I started playing football when I was around 4 or 5 years old. You know, I was always the smallest kid. My dad took me out there to try out, even though I was the youngest. But I wasn't able to play. But my dad had made the deal saying if I was to beat all the other kids in the race that I could play. So I started like very, very early. I just fell in love with the sport ever since then.
And you grew up in Louisville, Kentucky?
Yeah, Louisville, Kentucky.
And is football kind of as big of a deal as they make it out to be in Kentucky, or is it still kind of a basketball state?
You know, I feel like in Louisville, the city in Louisville, we got a lot of ball players. In Kentucky in general, there's a lot of ball players there. But I mean, we're on the uprise. People are starting to get noticing in Louisville now for the football play, even though it's considered like a basketball state.
Right.
It's all good though.
So who was your biggest influence growing up?
My biggest influence, I would say just my dad.
And he's the one that pushed you to play football?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he had played football from since he was a young age, and I wouldn't necessarily say that he had like pushed me to play football.
Mm-hmm.
Like he influenced me to play football, but at the end of the day, he let it be up to me whether I was going to continue the journey to play football or whether I was going to run track or like, you know what I mean, do anything else in life. So
Right.
he made it my decision, and I fell in love with it from a young age, and it became apparent that like it was up to me. That's kind of why I fell in love with it. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody really like made me do it. They might have influenced me a little bit, but at the end of the day, like I chose football.
Perfect.
The football chose me.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So you have an interesting perspective when you were in college. So you played for Murray State for 4 years, and then you ended up transferring to the University of West Virginia. Now, this was kind of right around the time that the portal became such a big thing, and I've talked in previous episodes about the portal. Can you give us some insight of what it's like to put your name in that and what kind of happens in that process?
Yeah, for sure. So my experience is a little different because coming out of high school, I never really had any big offers. I had like one offer coming out of high school, but going in the portal, as soon as I entered my name in the portal, like I got a phone call like 2 minutes later, big time school, you know what I mean? At the big time school hitting me up. So it was different because I've never experienced that. But the portal is actually crazy.
Yeah.
Like you just got teams reaching out to you all day, every day while you're in there. Like I'm out to eat with my family. I'm getting 3 calls like within 2 hours. I'm like, oh, I gotta take this. And not knowing your next move is kind of nerve-wracking, but I mean it's exciting. It's different. I like it though.
What were some
It was a good experience.
What were some other schools that had reached out to you? Obviously, you ended up choosing West Virginia, but what were some other schools that kind of reached out to you?
There were a lot of other schools that reached out to me. I don't really want to say any specific names, but there were some Big 12 schools, ACC schools, and like a lot of like G5 schools.
Gotcha. No, like I said, we've kind of covered it on this podcast before, and you have that unique perspective of kind of thing. So I appreciate you kind of sharing what you did with it. So how did you end up joining the Pirates? How did that process work?
So after my last year at West Virginia, I did pro day and everything, and I ended up signing with the Ravens to the rookie minicamp. And after that, I mean, I didn't get signed, but after that, the Massachusetts Pirates, the opportunity came about, and I just took it and ran with it. I had got a call, talked to my family about it. Next thing you know, I was in Boston. I was in Massachusetts.
And how have you enjoyed your time so far in Massachusetts?
I loved it here.
Good.
It's unique because the IFL it's different. Indoor is different than outdoor. But at the end of the day, it's football, and as long as you love the thing that you're doing, you're gonna have fun doing it.
What is the biggest difference between your traditional college football and NFL to indoor football? What's the biggest difference that you've seen so far?
The biggest difference, I mean, the field, like the amount of yards on the field and the width of the field, and the 8 players rule. Like it's 8 players in the indoor league, and there's 11 players in the outdoor league. So like, you know what I mean? Everything's like spread out on the outdoor league, but indoor leagues, like everything's closed in. And another big difference is the high motion. So that's when the receivers are running like full speed in motion before the ball snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal, especially at DB, because you got to cover that.
Right.
You got to make sure they slow down or stop their feet or.
Right. Most things that I've heard so far is that it's faster. Can you confirm that it seems faster?
Yeah, it's definitely faster because everything has to happen now. Like passes have to happen now. Like the run, like the gap has to hit right now. Like, you got to tackle right now or it's touchdown. Everything is fast.
Now have you always played defensive back or on the defense, or have you played other positions as well?
Oh yeah, most of my life I played both, except going to college. College you got to choose one.
Right.
Unless you're like Travis Hunter. but I played both my whole life until I got to college, and they moved me to DB. And I mean, I've always loved DB. I always loved both positions because I played receiver too. But I just felt like defensive back I had a better chance at going to the next level at playing defensive back.
Now, how do you mentally prepare for your game? Like, is there any ritual that you have or anything else like that that gets you kind of ready for a game day, or you kind of just like, hey, it's a normal day and you just kind of go about it?
Nah, I'm not one of those people who have like a pregame ritual or like a ritual about the week. I just go on about the week. I mean, study film. You know what I mean? I don't have like a meal that I have to eat before a game or like a snack or a drink that I have to have before the game. I just go on about it like it's a regular day.
If you ever have a bad game and stuff like that, how do you bounce back from that, or how do you learn from mistakes and stuff like that? What kind of player are you when it comes to something like that?
I'll just say like watching the film because I feel like in the moment you might think something's worse than what it is or better than what it is, but like you watch the film, you actually get the gist of what happened in that moment and how you can actually correct it. And you got your boys on the sideline telling you like like this happened in that play or that happened in the play, but once you sit down and actually watch it, you know how you really messed up or like what's going on in the game and how you've been messing up. So you just gotta watch the film, and I mean you gotta have a short term memory at defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean you get beat one play, you gotta come back the next play ready to play because I mean like the game's still going, the game's not gonna stop for nobody. So just
Right.
having a short term memory and watching film so you can get better on what you have messed up. That's how I go about it.
Now, what's something while you're with the Pirates that you're working on improving in your game?
Something I'm working on improving my game. I would just say my all around game. To be honest, press man, off man from the high motions. Like I said, that's one of the hardest things you can do. Cover somebody going full speed already, 10 yards away. Uh, Tackling for sure, and just getting like a better understanding of the game and how it translates to just football, like outdoor football that I've been playing my whole life.
Well, who's the toughest wide receiver that you've had to cover in your career?
In my career, ooh, let me think about that. In my career, uh, I would say, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name right now. But short guy from Oklahoma 2 years ago. I think he's number 80. Stout, is that his last?
I think I remember who you're
Stoop,
talking about. Yeah,
Stoop, yeah, Stoop.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll say him.
Just very quick and everything else like that.
Yeah, very quick, very shifty. You know what I mean? Like gadget guy, using them everywhere, putting them in different positions.
Yeah.
He's running all these different routes.
So how would you describe the team's chemistry so far this season?
I feel like our chemistry is at an all-time high right now. You know what I mean? I feel like we're hitting our stride right now. Like we're on a row, 2 games in a row, and we're just going to keep on pushing. Team morale is getting higher. We're bonding every day. We're getting closer. The practices are getting better. You know what I mean? Making plays. We're celebrating with each other. We're having fun. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. You got to have fun doing this stuff. And when you got a group of guys like this and you can actually have fun with, it makes the game way better.
What would you say the biggest misconception is, whether it's from fans on the outside, media from the outside, or even players coming into like an indoor football team? What's the biggest misconception about the indoor football league?
I feel like the biggest misconception probably would be like that because I hear people talk about it like all the time, like, oh, this league doesn't have like ballers or like there's no real players in this league. But trust me, there's definitely ballers in this league on both sides of the ball. And there's talent in this league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's also a fun game to watch because I know some people might be like, oh, I don't want to watch the indoor league. It's only 50 yards. It's boring. Nah, it gets crazy here. It's definitely a good time.
Now, with your team, with the indoor football league, normally known for high scores and stuff like that, holding other teams to under 30 points a game, at least over the last 2 games, has been kind of a big deal. So, how do you guys continuously improve on that? How do you guys disguise different stuff and keep it so that way you're always putting your team in a position to win?
Yeah, like I said, it goes back to us practicing as a team. You know what I mean? Hanging outside. outside of football as a team, and just us, our bond becoming closer, and knowing what guys how they play on the field, you know what I mean, how to actually get through to them. All that comes to play. That comes to play when we're holding teams under 30 points, like under 35 points a game. Like just that team morale, just us bonding all the time. Like we want to go out there, we want to make plays, we want to have fun. When you got ball players like we got on this team, it makes it easy.
So I know Coach Manas came in partway through the season, and you guys have had good success where he's come in. Obviously, needing a little bit of time to get used to it, but what has he changed that has been kind of for the positive for you guys?
I feel like he just brings a different aspect here. You know what I mean? It's just a different aspect here. I mean, our other coach was great too, but he just brings a different aspect. All the guys are bought in. You know what I mean? Players want to play for him and stuff.
Is there sometimes where players will come in and not buy in? Sometimes I've heard the buy in thing a couple of times. That's why I'm asking. Do people come in and maybe not buy in?
I mean, like you have your organizations over the course of my whole career. Yeah, I've had people on my team. Some people who just don't buy in, or they don't want to, or they don't feel like, or they think their way is better. So you definitely have guys that's not bought in, but I would say pretty much all around on this team, all of our guys are bought in, and that's why we're hitting the stride right point. We're getting the guys that we need, and we're doing the things that we need to do to win.
From your position, can you walk us through? You've mentioned it a little bit, but can you walk us through what you're seeing, like pre-snap, what you're trying to pay attention to? Just before the ball snap, what are you specifically looking for and stuff like that?
So that goes back on film and watching film. So once you watch film, you notice that teams have tendencies to do things if they're lined up in this formation, or if this guy's in the 2 spot, he's going to run this. So that just comes with studying and actually like taking your preparation onto the field.
Now, is there... We hear about teams watching film and stuff like that, and you see those tendencies like you mentioned. Is there a lot of changes from a week to week or from film that you're watching to a game day? Like, can a team come out and just completely run something different, or are they mainly falling back onto things that they're comfortable with?
I feel like if a team comes out and runs something different, that means they know that we're going to stop what they have already like in plan. So I mean, there is instances where teams come out and run something completely different to what we expected, but we just got to make adjustments on the go. But there is also times where we expect the team to run something, and they come out and run that, and just smack them in the mouth, and they also got to make adjustments. So it just depends on the team and what happens during the game.
Right. So what's a more satisfying play for a defensive back? Is it interception or pick six or a huge hit? What is more satisfying for a defensive back?
100% a pick six. That's what DBs live for, pick six. I mean, we can make the flashy hits and like a forced fumble, scoop and score, but that pick six, that's what we live for. That's our bread and butter.
How do you stay disciplined against like a tricky offense or anything else like that? Is it mainly, again, just following your assignments and stuff like that, and all that film study as you've mentioned?
No, yeah, definitely. Just following your assignments, following your keys, knowing there's 8 people on the field, so you gotta do your 1/8. I mean, and just trust that your brother's gonna do his part, not trying to do too much. Let everybody do their own job. And at the end of the day, when that happens, come out with the win.
So what was your favorite NFL team growing up?
My favorite team growing up, and still to this day, is the New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans
I've always I watched them when I was younger. I used to go to my friend's house and watch them on TV, and they just became my favorite team ever since.
So I spent I spent 3 years in New Orleans, so the Saints became my second favorite team behind my Patriots and stuff like
Oh,
that.
for
So
real?
I still root for the Saints to this day. Yep. Who dat?
Yeah, who that nation? Yeah, for sure.
I actually
Who
live
that
right
nation?
down the street from the stadium, so I could walk there every day.
Was you going to game?
Oh yeah, I went to a few games and stuff like that.
I'm gonna definitely have to catch a Saints game in the future. One day I might be playing for them.
Right. You never know. You could very well. What was your
Yeah.
who's your favorite player of all time?
My favorite player of all time. It's like it's tough because, like I said, I'm a Saints fan, so I could go like Reggie Bush or like Drew Brees,
Hmm.
or I can go like defensive back. Like I really like Jalen Ramsey. I really like Jair Alexander. I don't know. I mean, but I'll say just in general, I'll just keep it simple and say like Drew Brees, like Reggie Bush. Yeah.
Right. If you had to go one on one with any wide receiver from any NFL history, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one right here. Let me think. One on one with any receiver. I say Jerry Rice. Give me
Ooh,
Jerry Rice.
that's a good
I
one.
know I know he's the GOAT. He got the crisp routes, but
Uh-huh.
I know he's not a burner, so I just gotta stay patient.
I mean, you might as well go for the goat, right? You know you can't sell
Oh
yourself
yeah,
short.
no. Yeah, I was thinking about Megatron, but they're gonna throw it up
Right.
15 feet in the air.
Now you have the Iowa Barnstormers coming up. What are some of the keys that you see to beat them? And obviously, this is at their stadium. You're going to Des Moines, Iowa, to face them this Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I'd just say shut down their pass game. That's what they rely on. That's what they like to do every game. I mean, they're known for their passing game. So uh, our defensive line is gonna have to get to them fast, and gonna have to cover in the back end. We're gonna have to play as a whole team in order to get this win, which I know we will do.
Perfect. Now, what do you want Massachusetts Pirates fans to think about when your name comes up? What's the one thing you want them to think about you?
One thing I want them to think about when my name comes up, just know that I'm giving it my all out there, doing it for the fans, doing it for my family.
All right, sir. I really appreciate your time, and I know you're busy and getting ready to head out to Iowa, and then when you come back, you got a nice home game the weekend after. So again, I thank you very much for your time, and wish you the best of luck this upcoming weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All
You
right.
have a nice one.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. It was great to talk to Marcus and get some insight on kind of what the team is going through amongst a 2-game winning streak and the push for the playoffs. So thank you very much for his time. As mentioned, there are still some home games left and some tickets available at www.masspiratesfootball.com. Looking towards a different sport, we're going to talk a little golf. And the reason we're talking a little golf is because the U.S. Open is this weekend. And as of recording this right now, we're 2 rounds in. So there's still Saturday and Sunday to go. And the U.S. Open is at Oakmont, aptly named after the town that it's in Pennsylvania, Oakmont. It is very much known as a very, very difficult course. And a lot of the winners have either been very low, under par, or over par in the history of the U.S. Open being here. This is the 10th time that it has been here at Oakmont. I would go through the list of the years and stuff like that, but that's boring. So I'll kind of cover them a little bit. But out of the 9 other times that has been held here, 6 out of those 9 have been under par. And the most a winner has been under par has been -5. So it's not a course that you're going to go and see over 4 rounds a guy 20 under, 15 under. I mean, nobody has even gotten to 10 under par as far as a winner. The last time it was here, Dustin Johnson won in 2016 with 4 under par. And the highest score, or the highest over par, was from 1927, the first year that they had it here. Tommy Armour had a plus 13, so he was 13 strokes over par. I've watched the first 2 rounds. I have done a little bit of research on the course itself, and one of the main problems is, especially where it's been a little drier. Now, the course from when it first opened was a par 72, now it's a par 70, so you're losing 2 strokes already right off the bat right there. From there, the greens are incredibly fast. Any tap of the ball, it seems to shoot by the hole. You see a lot of players putting themselves in position to make 2 putts. So you get it on the green, you give yourself, you kind of undershoot it so that way it doesn't zip past. There's a lot of hills to it, to the greens and everything else like that. And to watch these professionals look like they play like me sometimes with the shots that they make, which are still far better than anything that I can do. But to see it it draws you in because, all right, these are professionals. There is a course out there that they hate. And I'm not speaking for all of them. I don't want everybody to think that I know that all the golfers hate this course, because it's a beautiful course and everything else. It's just very challenging. I could go to the easiest course and it's challenging. So to see them still be able to have to fight against a course, and even after the first round, there were 19 players that were either even or under par, which seemed like a lot comparative to all of the big things that were said. And then yesterday, a day further into the tournament where it had rained last Sunday, so they had said that the greens were a little bit slower than normal. Well, one day goes by with bright sunny weather, and then all of a sudden everybody's having trouble. After 2 rounds, Sam Burns is your current leader. He shot a 65 yesterday, which is unreal. So 5 strokes under par for yesterday puts him at -3 for the tournament, and that's your leader. So kind of right in that area where winners have been, -4, -5, stuff like that. So now we have to see what he does from here. Some of the bigger names are well down this leaderboard. So even the big names, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, they're down on this leaderboard. They're not close to the top of it as of now anyway. Whereas after round 1, there were 19 players that were either even or better than par or under par. Now there's 5. So 14 players dropped off that pace. And players like Thurston Lawrence got to 6 under par and then completely fell apart the rest of the day and finished 4 over. So he went from, 3 under par to now +1. I mean, for the people that say that they can't watch golf on TV or anything else like that, these are the tournaments that draw you into that watching experience. And again, you can get a good nap in if you're not a huge sports fan or a huge golf guy or girl. But watching them struggle kind of goes, okay, they can still get to this level and still have rounds like this. And for me, I go, okay, well, I can go and I can work on it. Listen, I'm never going to be able to compete in the PGA. Never. But it gives you kind of that human aspect to these golfers. They make such amazing shots all the time that now all of a sudden they're struggling against the course. It's the course that's literally fighting them. And I just find that funny. I find that to be a humanizing thing for a professional golfer to see and everything else like that. But, I mean, John Ram up there in the rankings for the PGA Tour, +5 yesterday. Bear with me on this one, but a Swedish name, Ludvig Aberg. Anyway, he's the world 6th ranked player in the world, missed the cut after 2 rounds. And then we had players like Shane Lowry, who picked up his ball on the 14th green without marking it, which costs you. And it's because they're so worried about this course and planning out their next shots that they're just not paying attention. So, Roy McIlroy was disgusted with smashing tee markers and everything else like that, and then birdied 18, and now he's still in the tournament, which I'm sure if he had missed it, he would have probably been fine. Scottie Scheffler is coming off of 3 wins in the last 4 starts. He had his 6th straight round over par in the U.S. Open, and he still scratched out at a 71 and was 7 shots behind. He is currently tied for 23rd. Phil Mickelson didn't make the cut. Now we're in the twilight of his career, so again, not necessarily something that I thought he was going to compete with early in this tournament, but I thought he'd at least make some cuts. But, this is, again, if you're not necessarily the hugest watching golf on TV person, just go watch how humanizing this course makes these professionals. It's quite interesting. Hoping to have a golf expert come on after the tournament's done early next week to kind of go over what we saw at the U.S. Open, and then they also do private lessons, so it'll be a conversation we have of what kind of the biggest misconceptions are with people either starting out with golf or have golfed for a while and don't seem to be where they want to be. And we'll go over all that stuff hopefully early next week for an episode next week. This is being recorded early on Saturday, so earlier I had talked about the NBA Finals a little bit and how the Pacers are up 2-1. So we just went through Game 4. The Thunder won Game 4, and now we're here at a 2-2 series. So again, great series as far as finals are concerned. The NHL and the NBA have each put out really, really great products. And the NBA was probably a little bit more concerned just because there wasn't as much market with these teams, Indiana and Oklahoma City markets, but they're putting on quite a show. SGA kind of makes up for the shitty fourth quarter he had in Game 3. In Game 4, he scored, I think, 11 straight points. It was one of the first times it's been done in a long time. That many points, I think, since Jordan in the last, 3 minutes of a fourth quarter. Close up until the end, he ended up taking over. Final score 111 to 104. So again, you traveled a little bit into the future or in the past at the beginning of this episode, and now you're here finding out what just happened in Game 4. And then we're going to have a complete breakdown of the first 4 games of this series and then talk to some NBA experts. Hopefully recording that today. So that way, again, that'll be out early next week as well. Bench heard the calling out earlier in this episode, even though it wasn't released, because Alex Caruso 20 off the bench for Oklahoma City, plus 14 today. Pretty much everybody on the bench except for one person was in the positive. Then the Indiana Pacers, as you look at them, they only went with 4 players off the bench this time. Obi Toppin had a great game, 17 points off the bench. T.J. McConnell has had some success coming off the bench as well. Again, a lot more with Game 3. Benedict Mathurin did not have a game like he did in Game 3, where he had 27 today. It was 14 minutes, 8 points. Missed quite a few free throws towards the end of the game that could have kept them a little bit closer. But overall, I mean, it's a back-and-forth series, and there's no real blowouts, or at least not ones that seem like it's a bad game from the jump. Like both teams seem to have it. They both seem to find their stride at some point during the games. And again, back and forth. But a very good series here as well. So with that, we will move on from this episode. And I'm gearing up for recording at least another 3, hopefully within the next couple of days. So that way, again, we're going to be putting out a little bit more right now, whereas I have time. When we get through the NBA and the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, we will probably do, like I said, a 2-episode weeks. So one in the early, probably Monday, Tuesday-ish, and then one for like Saturday morning. So it'll be a little bit more spread out for the time being. We will eventually start doing it more consistently where we go, hey, it's going to be 3, hey, it's going to be 4. Once we start to open up Loftside Creative Media and get kind of other shows up and going. So that's all the stuff I'm working on behind the scenes. As I've also mentioned to you, there will be ads coming at some point in time, and then video coming fairly soon as well. So again, thank you for listening. No matter where you are, whether it's morning, noon, or night, I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and we will see you for the next show.